Good afternoon. My name is Alex Bernet. I'm with LocWorld Conference and also the Localization Institute. I'm thrilled to be joined today by Erik Vogt, who is the Solutions and Innovations Director at Argos Multilingual. Erik, how are you today?
I'm doing really well, Alex. Nice to be here.
Well, thanks a lot for being here. I'm really excited. We're going to talk for a few minutes about an exciting panel session that you're going to lead next week at LocWorld52 in Monterey, California. And then we'll also talk a little bit about the Solutions Roundtable, a new event that you're helping me organize next February 11th and 12th of 2025. That'll also be in Monterey. It's going to be on the campus of the Middlebury Institute of International Studies. So let's jump right in. So I'm sure that most people are familiar with the term solutions architecture, Erik, but I'm not sure that everyone will know exactly what this means, especially within the localization space. Can you set the table for us with a short definition and tell us how this discipline continues to evolve in the rapidly changing age of AI?
Well, that's a really good question, Alex. The term solution architect only originated about 10, 15 years ago, and it largely is intended to be an assembler of different skills to build something that has value, and there's an implicit customness to it. So when you think about the metaphor of a building, there's a certain purpose to which that building is being created, that the architect is thinking about how that use is going to be used by the whoever's using it or interacting with it. And then there's specialists who come in who are pouring the concrete or building the walls or putting the electrical and plumbing. And these would represent the deployment of particular capabilities and skills, let's say a linguist or an engineer or
Okay.
perhaps a project manager who are bringing, and the architect makes sure that the whole of all these different roles delivers value that the customer is looking for in a custom deployment. Now, one of the things that makes me very excited about this field is that localization already is at the center of three fundamental different worlds.
Okay.
One's the world of the linguist, which is intrinsically part of our language services. It's right there in the title. We
Hmm.
also have a technology component where we're solving problems of scale and automation. And we have a business aspect of it. The project managers need to deliver value, pay POs, solve day-to-day problems of making sure that we meet delivery deadlines at quality levels. All three of these specializations often require a translation within an organization for
Okay.
them to understand and add value to each other. And that's where solutions comes in from a very high standpoint.
Great. Well, thanks for that. To turn now to your LocWorld 52 session, you've titled it From Discovery Through Business as Usual, the Practice of Solutions Design. Your abstract mentions that really any organization can benefit from a solutions design mindset in order to build reliable bridges from complex problems to deployable solutions, as you put it. Can you explain what you mean by that?
Yeah, I can. And largely it boils down to those three. It's easy to simplify it into those three different components, where at the one, and I look at it as a flow of information from different stakeholders to other stakeholders. So you think about the problem, I need to deliver such and such. That starts off a problem, understanding the problem. And there's a lot of uncertainty there. There's a lot of parameters that need to be defined. And
Okay.
then that journey of a high degree of uncertainty down to the level of precision that you can assign a project manager to get a particular outcome. That is the journey of one of the arrows of information from problem, discovery, through onboarding and implementation, all the way through final delivery. That's one of those journeys.
Sure.
But there's other journeys that are also equally important in this, and that's the alignment of the operational capabilities or the technical capabilities of an organization and aligning them to the problem space appropriately. So, what are the problems that are out there to solve? That needs to be communicated to, say, a R&D team. What are they building for? What are the capabilities that we need? And then the operations team needs to understand what do they need to be able to do. Also, they know what they can do, and that provides information to the other two components as well. So all these things need to be harmonized and synchronized. And that's what I mean by solutions design. is organizing it. And when you take one level up from that, look at it strategically, it's essentially business model generation. So each time you build a custom solution, you're essentially designing a business. And that's why I think solutions mindset actually applies to everybody, whether you are a small organization and you're just improvising solutions to something a lot more robust, the alignment between the different systems that you have to create value at the center, the value proposition at the center becomes essential to a business and to creating all the different pieces from the activities to the resources to the partnerships and how you deliver that value, how you measure it, how do you measure quality on the output, and of course the economics underneath it all.
It's really fascinating. Just such complex challenges that require such comprehensive and well thought out solutions. I think it's going to really make a great discussion coming up at LocWorld. So your panel also includes panelists Tim Arata and Cori Alcorn. Could you tell us a little bit about the unique perspectives and experiences that they're going to bring to this discussion?
Yeah, I'm super excited about having Cori and Tim join me for this. And there's the reason Cori represents an internal solutions capability within a large organization. So there's no buy-sell barrier in that particular framework.
Okay.
And then Tim brings a long history as both from the client perspective, but also as an independent consultant helping uh, localization teams within organizations figure out what it is that they're trying to solve for and engaging with suppliers. And then I think have a strong background in the supplier ecosystem. So I'd like to get away a little bit from the mindset that this is a boundary layer between a client and a vendor. You know, certainly that is an important place to solve
Hmm.
for problems, but it's not the only one. So trying to have a more holistic approach to how we solve these problems at scale is why I'm excited that Tim and Cori can join about this. And so we're going to be dialoguing and riffing a lot on some of these central themes. I think it's going to be an exciting conversation.
Yeah, I do too. And I'm excited to hear the questions that come from the audience out of that session as well. And this is a good time to mention that a few months later, this discussion is not going to end in Monterey next week. A few months later, on February 11th and 12th, you're helping along with our company, the Localization Institute. We're working on organizing a new roundtable called the Solutions Roundtable. And as I said before, it'll be held on the campus of the Middlebury Institute of International Studies. So this is actually a 2-day open discussion forum. It's an open and much more interactive discussion where attendees can actually join the conversation, share their pain points and challenges, and workshop ideas and solutions together. So Tim and Cori, I know, are also serving on the advisory board for this event. We have a number of great other advisory board members, and I wonder what made you decide that this subject, particularly this discipline of solutions, requires its own multi-day roundtable. I'll ask too. You started to mention it in your last answer, but are attendees coming from both the client and the vendor side welcome? And how about software or localization engineers? Talk a little bit about our target audience here.
Sure. So why create the roundtable? I love the roundtable format because it is an opportunity to get outside of the hats that we wear traditionally in the industry and look at things more holistically. I can't tell you how profoundly hearing the insights from other organizations have been for me as I understand what challenges, both the commonalities and the differences that people in different roles really have. It takes away a little bit of the pressure of thinking, oh, I've got to sell to this person or I've got to make an impact, but rather you can abstract a little bit and share ideas a little bit more candidly. And these aren't recorded.
Right.
There's an understanding that the problems in the room are for the participants in the room to help solve
That's a
together.
really important
So
point. Yep.
yeah, so it's a little bit more of a special case there, and I think it's also an opportunity. I think for several different when we built this, we had several different folks in mind. One is people who want to explore the field of being a solutions architect or being in a solutions or consulting function, how can they get the most or provide the most value in that role? So how can
Hmm.
they strengthen their what they're offering? Another is, I think if you're running a company or a division and you're struggling with the alignment between these different stakeholders that I mentioned, it might be very helpful to think about how to design a solutions function. Like how do you solve solutions? How do you solve getting better, more relevant solutions to your customers and aligning your internal capabilities to the value that your clients are looking for? I think that is a universal problem, and it really focuses on this solutions as a business model generation function. So I
Hmm.
think that could really help. Another really interesting thing about this, Alex, is that a lot of light bulbs go off in my head when I'm talking to different types of functions. So, uh, for example, running a technology company, the or delivering a CMS or a TMS or some type of technology capability is a very uh, very different. Like you wouldn't dream of not having a solutions person on the call from day one,
Hmm.
engaging with your customer to understand their needs and helping to steer them to the right solution that will add the most value and make sure that they get what they wanted from that relationship. But that is very different than, say, a traditional language services industry where the business model is pretty set and you really only need to engage with a creative process of solutioning every once in a while when you're considering a new line of business. But both of those are very different use cases, but there are commonalities in how to break down the problem and make it make sense. And so I'll be starting off with a high level overview of some of the big ideas that I
Okay.
have learned over the last 25 years and my passion for solving problems. But we're also going to look at it through the lens of all these different functions from a client side to vendor sides, but also technology versus services, or also the problems that come to the room. So if you're part of a team, and this
Hmm.
is the third kind of category of folks that I think would find this interesting, if you've got a tough nut to crack and you're trying to break down the problem, make it make more sense to how to tackle this difficult thing, bring your problem with you to the roundtable. You'll find that you're in a room with a lot of people who like solving problems, and it's fun to take away a little bit of the pressure of kind of a how do you put together a particular proposal for this and just brainstorm about it with a bunch of smart people in a room. And we're also, by the way, keeping the total head count down so everybody has a
Yep.
chance to participate. We have a maximum head count of a couple dozen, and I think once we hit that number, we're going to stop. And so that's an opportunity for folks who are really interested in ideas and interested in solving problems to either bring their ideas or their problems to the roundtable, and we can tackle them in a structured environment. So, and another thing I'd like to add about the format is
Okay.
each of the advisors are experts. Each of them is bringing a perspective that's unique and will be facilitating different sessions. So as we go through the day, you'll find different leaders different of the advisors bringing different perspectives to the conversation. And so you may be able to have the opportunity to take the space that you're interested in and look at it through the lens of different perspectives, which I think gives everybody a much more holistic view of the problem spaces that they're confronted with, regardless of whether they're a client or a vendor or a tech or services or wherever they're coming from. In fact, if you really want to solve a problem about how to, you know, optimize your car wash revenue, theoretically, we could solve that too.
Well, that's such a great overview. And again, I think it's just a really important point. First of all, about the limiting of the number of people and also the fact that we don't record. People are welcome to take their own notes. But this is really a workshop situation. And it's unlike a traditional conference structure where you see presentations and maybe you have a speaker talk to you for 45 minutes and you get a few minutes for Q&A. The roundtable is very different. It's basically 10-minute, maybe 15-minute fire starter conversations, followed by about an hour to an hour and a half of open discussion that's driven really by the participants themselves. So that's what makes it so great with this particular topic too, and will be fun to see where the discussions go. So finally,
I,
yeah, I go ahead.
no, I'm very excited about bringing this roundtable to the community. I think I've been working on this concept for many, many years. As anybody who knows me knows, I think a lot and I care a lot about how systems work and how to solve problems. And I think there's a lot of opportunity, especially now with all the AI and new technologies coming out. There's a need to take apart or disassemble some of the implicit structures that we've evolved as an industry to solve it a certain way, take it back a level, think about what we're really trying to fix, and then apply new ideas to it now that we have these new capabilities in the market. And I'll give you an example. One use case that I've been very excited about, and I'll dig into this more later, is translating blogs. And I think blogs tend to be one-offs. They tend to have low leverage. They're not updated. They're just a one deliverable for a content. It's meant to have some interesting creative impact. Large language models are an outstanding way of translating that particular type of content. So in this particular use case, we just eliminated a TMS altogether and went straight to a very carefully multi-agent prompting strategy to enrich the prompt and enrich the engagement in different layers
Okay.
to create quality that was far more engaging, content that's far more engaging, quality that's far more on target for this particular use case, given the specialized nature of this content type. So that's an example of how we can use out of the box thinking or lateral thinking, if you will, to get outside of the normal train of thinking that you don't necessarily need to put every project on the same set of railroad tracks, but you also want to think about how all this technology interacts with each other. How does internal resources, how going to work with this? How are linguists going to engage with this? How are your clients going to, end clients, and I'm talking now about the clients, so like the end users who are ultimately at the receiving end of what our industry produces, how will they engage with this content? So deconstructing all of this gives us an opportunity to rethink solutions like we haven't had a challenge like this for 20 years. Like this is a very exciting time to be thinking about how does the value get created in our industry and how can we deliver that to our customers and ultimately to the end user who's we're all there to serve.
Well, thanks so much for taking time with me, Erik. I'm really excited for your session next week, excited for the roundtable in February as well. You and I will both be in Monterey next week. For any of our viewers out there that might be watching this and are going to attend LocWorld, come and say hi to us. We'd love to talk to you and find out more about your challenges and the solutions that you're working on. And we could see if maybe you'd be a right fit to attend the roundtable. So I will go ahead and put in the comments to this video and the caption the links to the roundtable website and also to the session information for Erik's LocWorld session next week. So we hope to see you next week in Monterey. And Erik, thanks for taking time today.
I can't wait to meet everybody in Monterey. It's going to be a great conference. I think we've got a huge attendance this year with lots and lots of talent and lots of curious people bringing a lot of ideas to the table. So see you next week, everyone, and have a great conference.
Goodbye.